Season 1, Episode 8, Ice. Always been one of my favorite episodes of The X-Files. It's the first episode that really gripped me. Full of drama, one of the best Mulder and Scully moments in the whole series, a good storyline, grade A episode. So the episode opens in Alaska. The bloodied man sits down in front of a camera, starts recording himself, muttering, "We're not who we are," and a bunch of other like sort of weird things. Then he gets attacked from behind by another crazy guy. They're fighting, they pull guns on each other. All of a sudden they get this look on their faces and they put the guns to their head. They kill themselves. Why are we in Alaska? Why is everybody crazy? Why are they killing themselves? Why are they killing each other? Why is there blood everywhere? So many questions. Then we see a tape of them clearly taken before when they had first arrived. They're all cheery and excited. Mulder tells Scully that she and him have been assigned to go up to Alaska to figure out what happened because no one knows why all these men lost their shit and killed each other. And I just have to mention that when Mulder's talking to Scully, there's a point where he's kneeling down, looking up at her, and it's like he's looking into her soul. There's so many little moments like this between Mulder and Scully, especially throughout the whole series, but definitely in season 1. And it's kind of ridiculous that they thought that people wouldn't want them to be together. I would want anyone to be together when they look at each other like that. I know it's probably an accident of David and Gillian's chemistry rather than the intent behind the writing, but still. Either way, I'm into it. So Mulder and Scully go to meet up with the team of people that they're going to be with going up to Alaska. Scully is wearing a coat, as is customary in season 1, that's 8 times too big for her. What a cute little marshmallow. So they meet up with their squad and they sort of realize that they have all of these different backgrounds. They fly up there. Immediately when they walk in the door, there's just bodies everywhere. Everybody's kind of checking out the scene, and then out of nowhere a rabid dog is jolting at them. They're all like trying to wrestle the dog. Luckily they're able to subdue the dog, and we discover that the pilot, whose name is Bear, has been bitten and he's got like blood all over his hands. That's a problem. They check out the dog to see like, why is this dog rabid? They find all of these little black nodules under its arm, and then they see something creepy moving like underneath its skin. And they're all shook. The fuck was that? Because the fuck was that? Then we see Bear in the bathroom, like sort of like bandaging himself up, and he takes off his shirt and we see that he's got the black spots. Oh no. Scully's doing autopsies. She can't really figure out what's wrong with these guys, why they would have killed each other. There's nothing else that's like really wrong with them. She's got like this little Anastasia hairdo, half pony. So cute. This hairstyle should have seen much more of the light of day. That's half the reason why this episode is so good. That little pony. I said what I said. We stand by it. So then Mulder's like checking out the ice sheets like on a map. They realized that they were sort of drilling into like a meteor. And then in conjunction with that, they discover an organism in the ice core samples as well as in the samples of the dead guy's blood. Correlation, icy meteor, organism in the ice, organism in the blood. Then the group starts fighting about what to do with the body. Because if the bodies are all infected with this organism, taking them back could be like, you know, an outbreak. Plus, one of them could be infected. So that's its own problem. And as soon as they decide that they're all gonna test each other, Bear freaks the fuck out because he knows that he's infected. He's like seen the spots, he is feeling a little crazy, but it gets like real bad real fast because Mulder pulls a gun on him and we can be chill about it, or I can pull a gun on you and things are gonna get a little hostile. Bear's like, fine, I'll agree to the exam, but just kidding, it's a trick. And he grabs a jar and busts it over Mulder's head, and then a whole fight ensues and he's like running away. Scully lunges after him, but you best believe that she wrestles him to the ground with her tiny ass body, so small and badass. And then they see his neck moving with the worm. They're like holding him down, trying to get it out. Scully's face as she tries to get that shit out, hilarious, but the whole thing is so gross that it almost can't be hilarious. It's so... And then when they pull that shit out, it is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Oh no. Hard pass. Nope, nope, nope. So after that, Mulder like runs to the radio for help because, you know, clearly they're in way over their head. He realizes that if they don't fly out tonight, then they're not gonna leave for days because there's a big storm coming through. So he's like, guys, we gotta get the fuck out right now. But guess what? Plot twist. Bear's dead from the worm situation and you guys are screwed. So Scully finds the creepy crawlers in all of the other bodies, and all of them are dead except for one. So they've got 2 live worms. Scully's freaked out that this could infect the whole population. She wants to burn all the bodies and like make sure that this shit never sees the light of day. Meanwhile, Mulder's stoked about it because it could be from aliens. The meteor and the ice and, you know, space, aliens, you know, a Mulder wet dream. He's like, no, we gotta study this shit. She's like, everyone could die, Mulder. So they're arguing. And when they come back together to discuss, one of them implies that Scully's heated, and she like kind of loses her shit because he's implying that she's infected.
You seem a little bit stressed out.
What the hell are you trying to say?
So to put everything to rest, Scully's like, oh no, we're gonna inspect each other, we're gonna watch, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. So the guys are undressing and Mulder makes a pretty funny dick joke.
Before anyone passes judgment, may I remind you, we are in the Arctic.
And the scene between Scully and Felicity Huffman is super short, but it's like, Scully's like smiling. She's relieved that they're not infected, but you know. They're good to go. They're all going to bed, but they're all clearly freaked out. When Mulder and Scully say goodnight to each other.
Good night, Mulder.
Good night, Scully.
At least everyone's okay.
This is fanfic waiting to happen. I remember the first time I saw this episode, I was just like, oh my god, this scene is ripe for the beginning of a fanfic. So much could happen. And of course nothing happens, but like it could have. So they all go to bed really on edge. Mulder startles awake in the middle of the night and gets up and is sort of like looking around to see what made this sound. He's like investigating and he sees this dripping blood. He opens up the freezer or fridge or whatever it is and this dead body falls onto him. As soon as that happens, everybody walks in and it sort of looks really bad. It looks like Mulder fucking killed that guy. Of course everybody's like, oh no, Mulder, you did it, no. And he's like, I didn't fucking do it. And they're like, sure looks like you did. There's some very heightened arguing. Guns get pulled. Mulder and Scully pull guns on each other. Really intense.
Mulder!
Scully, get that gun off me!
Mulder, you have to understand!
Put it down!
You put it down first!
Scully! For God's sakes, it's me!
I'm both turned on and afraid. So they lock Mulder up. They'd rather be safe than sorry. Scully clearly feels really weird about it, but Mulder is just like, well, you know what? I'll be safer in here than you will be because one of the killers is out there with you. So everybody else is testing the blood, trying to figure out what's going on. Felicity Huffman's character accidentally makes a mistake where she pours infected blood into infected blood. But the mistake ends up being a solution. The little organisms inside the infected blood kill each other. Woo! Figured it out. Boom. So to test the theory out, they put one of the worms inside the dog's ear, and it's a really sad scene because like the dog is struggling and I don't want to see that. Poor puppy. The good news is that the dog is fine and the worms do end up killing each other, so they're like, yes, solution. We will put a worm inside of Mulder's ear that will de-infect him. Scully goes in there by herself to try and explain this to him. Be like, bitch, listen, we just gotta put this worm in your ear. It'll de-infect you. We found a cure. Everything's gonna be fine. But of course, Mulder flips his shit because he knows he's not infected. If you put the thing in me, it will infect me. The whole scene really boils down to trust. Mulder and Scully, again, have not been working together very long. This is only the 8th episode. They think they can trust each other, but they're not quite sure. And this is like one of the first epic big tests of their trust in each other.
That's true. Then why didn't you let us inspect you?
I would have, but you pulled a gun on me. Now I don't trust them. I want to trust you.
Okay. But now they're not here.
Scully wants to trust Mulder, but you know, this place is making them crazy and you know, there's like a fucking worm contagion on the prowl. You know, they're arguing. It's full of really hot sexual tension and a very inappropriate lack of personal space. So they decide to check each other's necks out. There's like a lot of interesting, touching choices. The little smile on her face when she realizes that he's clean and she can trust him. Honestly, one of the most precious moments in X-Files history. Tiny little Scully with her tiny little ponytail and her tiny little smile. Such an interesting juxtaposition to when Mulder like grabs her neck. That's a lot. Classic Mulder and Scully making everything feel sexual when it probably shouldn't be to begin with. Mulder and Scully, David and Gillian. The eternal question. Satisfied with their answers, Mulder and Scully go out to the rest of the group and they're like, listen, we're not infected. We checked each other out, so it must be one of you guys. Let's do another exam. And they're like, okay, but then they turn on them, lock Scully back in the room, force Mulder down, put the worm in his ear. Scully's like banging on the door trying to get out. Hilarious that she thinks that's gonna work. When of course we see Felicity Huffman has got the worm thing moving on her neck, freaks out, and he's like, oh shit, it's you. She like runs and is like tearing the place up. They're running after her, tackling her, holding her down. They put the worm in her ear, and luckily it bites itself. She's okay. Everybody's fine. The remaining group is gonna get out alive. So then they're sort of talking about the situation after the fact, and Mulder's like, I want to go back up there. I want to investigate. There's still a lot going on up there that we don't know about. He finds out that they torched the whole place to the ground as soon as they left, and that there's nothing to go back to. Indicative to the fact that anytime Mulder gets a little step closer to the truth, the powers that be are shutting him down and destroying the evidence. So is the story of the X-Files' life. In conclusion, such a great episode. Lots of good Mulder and Scully relationship building blocks. Lots of tension. Overall, really solid story, really good characters. We love ice. Woo! Thanks for watching. Go check out my other videos, subscribe. I will see you next week.